Today, we're taking a tour through some of the weirdest civilizations in science fiction. The kind of stuff that makes you pause mid-page and say, wait, what? We're talking about alien bureaucrats who think chaos is a blueprint, sentient tumours running for office, spiders with family values, and societies where reproduction requires 3 people and a user manual. If you've ever read a sci-fi book and felt like your brain needed a firmware update just to understand what's going on, you're in the right place. So let's get into it, and maybe keep a notebook handy. Things are about to get gloriously weird. Our first pick, one of Stanisław Lem's early works, introduces us to the civilization of the Doublers in his 1959 story, Eden. Think of Eden as basically what happens when you crash land on a planet full of alien bureaucrats who've read some Kafka and decided it was a how-to manual. This isn't your average bug-eyed monsters sci-fi. It's cerebral, unsettling, and deeply weird in that unique, Lemmy way. The aliens are called the Doublers, a name that reflects their strange, almost mirrored physiology. Each has a single bulbous body with 6 limbs arranged in symmetrical pairs, giving the eerie impression of 2 organisms fused into one. Their intelligence is decentralized, their behavior baffling, and their culture operates on a form of collectivism that renders most human values like individuality, free will, and frankly basic interior design completely obsolete. The story follows a ship full of human explorers who make the classic sci-fi mistake of assuming they can observe and understand an alien society using Earth logic. Spoiler, they cannot. The technology on Eden looks primitive and chaotic, giant machines with no clear function, structures that appear half-built or abandoned, but there's clearly some internal logic behind it all. It's just not one that we can follow. Lem uses this setup to explore how limited human perception really is when confronted with the truly alien, a theme he goes on to explore further in his writing career. Eden isn't about conquering space or making first contact, it's about confronting the terrifying possibility that we might not be able to understand everything, no matter how smart we think we are. Read this if you like your sci-fi with existential dread and zero hand-holding. Up next we have The Child Garden, written by Geoff Ryman and published in 1989. In this story, humans have become, well, let's say a little bit odd. What if education was an STD? Welcome to the Child Garden, where children don't go to school, they just catch Shakespeare. In this future London, learning isn't about reading or rote memorization, it's an infection. Genetically engineered viruses are designed to rewrite your DNA and entire encyclopedias of knowledge. You wake up from a fever dream knowing advanced calculus, medieval history, and probably a bit of operatic theory too. Convenient? Yes. Terrifying? Also yes. But that's just the beginning. Society is ruled by the consensus, a global sentient cancer. And no, that's not metaphorical. It's an actual living tumour that evolved into a kind of benevolent hive mind. It wants peace, harmony and good health. And if it has to rewrite your emotions and erase your personality to get there, well, that's just the price of progress. In this world, individualism is seen as pathological. Everyone's expected to feel the same, think the same, and definitely not write subversive liberatos. Enter our protagonist, Milena, an immune outlier who can't be infected with the knowledge virus, and who, in a rebellious act of creative defiance, attempts to stage an opera. In a society that fears disruption, that's basically armed insurrection. Ryman's novel is rich with biological metaphor, radical imagination, and a surprisingly moving emotional core. It's sticky, strange, and unlike anything else you've read. Read this if you want your dystopias squishy, soulful, and crawling with poetic genetic engineering. At number 3 we have a classic brought to us in 1974 by Larry Niven and Jerry Pournelle. It's The Mote in God's Eye. The Mote in God's Eye is a first contact story where the aliens are smart, friendly, and absolutely guaranteed to ruin everything. The Motes are one of the most fully realised alien species in classic sci-fi. Biologically divided into rigid castes, engineers, mediators, warriors, and more, they're each born to do exactly one thing extremely well. Want a bridge built overnight? Call an engineer. Need complex negotiations? A mediator's got you. But don't ask them to switch jobs. Cross-training isn't a thing when your DNA says die if not a dentist. The thing is, the Motes are biologically compelled to reproduce. Like, really compelled. And once they start, they don't stop, until their civilization collapses under the weight of its own population boom. Then they wipe the slate clean and do it all over again. The entire history is one giant loop of brilliance, expansion, collapse, repeat. This evolutionary dead end is what makes First Contact so fraught. The humans in the story are faced with a devastating ethical and strategic question. Can they allow such a species into the galactic community without dooming everyone else? This book has everything: tense negotiations, big ideas, and a slow burning sense of dread that builds with every chapter. It's a masterclass in alien world building and politics of survival. Read this if you want your sci-fi packed with moral dilemmas, genetic traps, and aliens you'd love to meet from a safe distance. Next up, in 1972, the late great Isaac Asimov himself introduced the world to a civilization hailing from a parallel universe in The Gods Themselves. In The Gods Themselves, we meet the parabeings, intelligent life forms from a parallel universe where fundamental laws of nature like gravity, energy, and common sense behave in completely unfamiliar ways. And just to crank up the weirdness up to 11, reproduction in the para-universe requires a triad of 3 separate parabeings: a rational, logic and analytical, an emotional, impulsive and, well, emotional, and a parental, the one who literally carries the baby, sort of. These 3 distinct entities come together, mentally, emotionally, and, yes, physically, to form a temporary composite being capable of reproduction. It's part mating ritual, part existential group therapy. What's fascinating is that Asimov doesn't give you an easy in. The parabeings' thoughts, language, and values are portrayed without simplifying them for the human reader. You're dropped straight into their world and left to feel your way through, like the sci-fi equivalent of being blindfolded and handed a Rubik's Cube. The civilization, like their bodies, is built around fusion, of thought, of identity, of purpose. And when their universe begins interacting with ours through an energy exchange that could potentially destroy both, the philosophical and scientific stakes go sky high. Read this if you want deeply imaginative alien culture, mind-bending physics, and a reminder that sometimes the universe doesn't care if you understand it. Before the last book on this list, here are a few honourable mentions. Think of these as the director's cut. Still brilliantly strange, but just didn't quite fit into the top 5. But they're 100% worth your time. Embassytown by China Miéville, published in 2011, introduces us to the civilization of the Arachai. Imagine a species that literally can't lie, not because they're honest, but because their language doesn't allow for it. The Arachai speak a language so deeply rooted in physical reality that metaphor is impossible, until humans show up and break their brains with ambiguity. They speak with 2 mouths simultaneously, because of course they do, and can only understand concepts that have a physical reference. Enter the human ambassadors, pairs of genetically tweaked people who can speak the Arachai language, and accidentally introduce the concept of fiction. Chaos, glorious linguistic chaos, ensues. In City by Clifford D. Simak, published in 1952, we dive into a civilization of uplifted dogs and ants. After humans either disappear or transcend, Earth is inherited by talking dogs, and unlike their former masters, they decide they're just not that into cities, war, or progress of any kind. Instead, they build a peaceful rural society based on storytelling, loyalty, and long walks in the countryside. Meanwhile, underground ants are creating a completely different civilization, mechanical, hierarchical, and rigid. The result? A philosophical meditation on what it really means to be civilized. Bonus, the whole book is framed as a collection of legends, told by dogs who aren't entirely sure humans ever existed. Engine Summer by John Crowley, published in 1979, brings to us a human civilization based on post-technological memory communities. In a far future world where humanity has chilled out hard, people live in slow, almost dreamlike communities where truth is sacred and memory is everything. Literally, you can store your own life in crystal form and let someone else relive it later. Lying is considered unthinkable, identity is fluid, and time seems to drift sideways. It's post-scarcity, post-history, and deeply introspective. Not much happens, but it happens beautifully. Read this if you like your sci-fi soft, surreal, and soaked in melancholy. Let's finish this list with some 8-legged excellence. Enter Vernor Vinge's 1999 novel, A Deepness in the Sky. In A Deepness in the Sky, the aliens aren't just a little different. They're giant, intelligent spiders. Yes, actual arachnids. Don't let the creepy crawly exterior fool you though, these spiders have culture, literature, family drama and complex politics. Basically they're us, if we had silk glands and a strict schedule dedicated to orbital mechanics. The spiders live on Arachna, a planet that orbits a weird variable star, one that shines only every few centuries, so their civilization has evolved in cycles, on periods where the sun is active and society blooms, followed by off times of deep freeze and suspended animation. While the spiders go about their business below, two very different human factions hover above. There's the Keng Ho, libertarian traders with a love for contracts and cultural exchange, and the Emergents, who are basically mind-control dictators with a business plan. Both sides want to make contact with the spiders when they reawaken, and both are more than willing to exploit them to get what they want. What makes this book so epic is how vividly Vinge brings the spiders to life. Their civilization is alien but relatable, their perspective truly non-human, and their technological progress shaped by the harsh strangeness of their world. Vinge brings his usual deep world building, brainy space intrigue, and spiders you'll end up rooting for. No, really. So there you have it, 5 gloriously weird civilizations that'll stretch your imagination, scramble your brain, and make you question what normal even is. After all, who says normal isn't being ruled by a hive mind tumour or falling in love as 1/3 of an alien throuple? Let me know in the comments which bizarre society you'd most want to visit, or avoid at all costs. And if you've got any weird sci-fi reads of your own, drop them in the comments below. I'm always hunting for more beautifully strange books. If you want more sci-fi juice, check out this next video on far, far future sci-fi reads. Thanks so much for watching. If you're craving an extraordinary journey through realms unexplored, consider delving into universes directly out of my brain by checking out my sci-fi novels Black Milk and Delphine Descends. You can find more details in the description. Thanks for your support.